Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings. We generally like to talk a load of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general. In this video we're going to be talking about a push your luck racing game. We're going to be talking about Cubitos or Cubitos or Cubitos or whatever the hell you want to call this game. So in this game you'll be rolling dice to race around the track. You'll be collecting cash that will allow you to buy extra dice that will give you extra powers, and it's the first player to cross the finish line will be the winner of Cubitos. So in this video we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules, be telling you what we do like, what we don't like. Then we'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not Cubitos is worth your time and bother today and in the future. So remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment, hit the like button, all that bollocks. And we'll see you after this. Bollocks. So Cubitos, how do you play this game? So Cubitos is a racing game that will be using dice to push your luck, right? Every player is going to get 2 player tokens. You'll get 2 black dice and you'll get 7 grey dice. You'll put them on your player map in the draw section, and you'll notice that each of these dice has got a symbol on it. The black dice has got a circle with a number in it and a foot. A foot will allow you to move 1 space if you roll it. A circle with a number in it means you'll get this virtual currency that has to be used that round to buy extra dice, right? And the grey ones are really crap. They've only got 1 virtual money on them. So the first thing you have to do in the setup, you have to choose a card set. There's loads of different cards. Each card is linked to a die, and you'll stick the different coloured dice on the different coloured trays, which are incidentally really crap, and I think we're going to throw them away and just put them on the table. Yeah, so choose one of the 4 race tracks. You'll stick it in the centre of the table. You'll take the fan track and then you'll stick one of the player tokens on the little seating area, waiting for them to bust and move forward, right? So there's 2 different phases in this game. There's the roll phase and then there's the race phase. In the roll phase, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw up to 9 of your dice from your draw area and then place them in the roll area. There are ways of increasing your hand size. You will be able to get the purple hands from the fan board if you bust, and there's also other ways of getting extra dice into your pool. Count up the number of red lines that you are behind from the person in first place, and you'll get that many extra dice that round. So next thing you're going to do, you're going to be rolling the dice that are in your roll area. You keep rolling them. Each time you roll a symbol on the dice, you'll move it to your active area. You can choose to stop or carry on. If you carry on, then you'll keep rolling the dice until you don't roll anything, in which case you will bust. If you bust, you'll move all the dice in your active area over to the discard area, and you'll put all the blank dice that you didn't get anything on into the roll area, right? And that'll be your turn over. But you do get to move your token forward on the fan track, and you'll get the reward, whether it's money or an extra die in your pool for the next round. So once everyone's done rolling, then you'll move to the race phase. You'll first count up the amount of feet that you've got, then you'll move your token 1 space forward. If you hit one of the reward spaces, you'll get the reward. It might be the case that you might get some extra money. You might be able to lose or gain a die, or you might be able to hop over certain spaces. You've got to remember that you can't move through water unless otherwise specified, and you can't move through the barriers. So there's that. Don't try and do that, because otherwise you'll drown and you'll be labelled a bloody cheat, right? So the next thing everyone could do, they can buy 2 dice. You'll be able to use your virtual currency or your hard currency to do this. You'll choose your dice and you'll put them in your discard area, ready for the possibility of using them next turn. Right, some of the dice that you can buy, you might be able to buy the Mr. Soldier dice, and it says only the player with the most swords may use this ability, because at the beginning of the race phase you're going to check to see who's got the most swords on their red dice, and if you've got the most red swords, you'll be able to gain free money and move 2 spaces, right? You might be able to choose the Mr. Bats ability. When you use this ability, you may choose to either gain 2 money or 2 hard currency equal to half your flags rounded down. That's on the fan board, right? So that's quite a nice one. You might be able to get the Big Cheese ability, and this one says that you may either gain 1 foot or gain feet equal to half your flag amount on the fan track, of course. Rounded down, for example, if you have a flag count of 5, you gain 2 feet. Right, so that's quite nice. There's also some really expensive ones but are really powerful, like the Rollersaurus, and that will just give you 4 feet. So it's a case of whether or not you're going to save up your hard currency to push you through into buying a more expensive cars, or whether you're just going to get lots and lots of little shitty ones like the brown dog dice, which look like little cubes of dog shit. And I suppose in a sense they are, because a lot of these ones, if you roll the dog face, then you're going to lose the die. So they are literally dog shit. So once everyone's bought all their stuff, you'll discard all your dice that you have used, and then what you'll do, you will move up to 9 dice from your draw area into the roll area. If you haven't got any dice left, then you'll take all your dice from your discard area and put them in the draw area, and then you'll make up 9 dice, or however many dice you need to roll based on the amount of purple hands you got, right? So the game will end as soon as somebody crosses the finish line. If 2 or more players cross the finish line in the same round, then you will play one more turn. It's the player who is the furthest from the finish line. If there's still a tie, then you'll just keep doing this until somebody breaks the deadlock, and they will be the winner of Cubitos. So what do we like about Cubitos? So the first thing that we really like about this game is it's a really colourful game to look at. The component quality is absolutely fantastic. The dice are quite nice. It reminds me of an acid trip that I've done in 1989. It's that colourful, man. You know, it looks absolutely fantastic, and there's lots of little details on the board. Okay, the board is quite small. It's not as big as we would hoped it would be, but it does look quite nice. It's just a shame that those boxes that the cubes are contained in, that the cubes rest on, isn't that great quality, because they do look quite nice, but we will probably end up getting rid of them. But aside from that, the artwork, the component quality is super duper top notch, right? So the second thing that we really like about Cubitos is the fact that you've got loads of variability. Not only have you got 4 different courses to choose from, you've also got lots of different sets of cards and abilities that can be interchanged with one another. And it's not just a case of following the rulebook and saying that you have to choose a set of cards. You could just mix and match any ones you want. There's an almost infinite level of variability to this game, so each special ability that you're going to be buying in each game is going to change, and the way that they interact with each other is going to change. So there's not going to be any surefire way of winning. Like, we played a game a couple of days ago where me and my wife were tied at the end, and we had to play one more turn, and my boy had a piece of cheese and a green die, and it was the green die that let you re-roll it and stopped you from busting, and all he kept doing is rolling the cheese and the green die, cheese and the green die, and it allowed him to move 1 space forward as long as he didn't bust, right? So he ended up winning on the last turn, even though he's about 17 spaces behind, when me and my wife actually got past the finish line, right? So the way that the different special abilities merge together and present you with different strategies and problems to overcome is actually quite fun, right? So the final thing that we like, well, there's quite a few things we do like about this, but we're not going to go on about this game too long. But yeah, the final thing that we like about Cubitos is the fact that you get to choose which dice you move from your draw pile into your roll pile. If you think of other sort of deck building, bag building games such as this, you don't really get that option. If you think about Dominion, you're going to be randomly drawing so many cards from your hand, right? In this, you do get to choose, so it allows you to formulate some kind of strategy. It allows you to think, well, do I push those crappy grey dice through now and then have the decent dice later, or do I get all of my decent dice into my pool so that I can push forward and then next round just use the crappy dice? So you've got to think, when's the best time to use different dice based on the terrain, and also what dice your opponents have got in their pools as well. Yeah, so that's quite unique for these push your luck racing games. Yeah, so what don't we like about Cubitos? So the first thing that we don't like about Cubitos, and it's not something that's in the game, something that we think should have been in the game, right? It's that it doesn't have any kind of real-time mechanism that can increase the tension, right? Every time we play this, there seems to be this sort of frenzy about rolling the dice as fast as you can, but you don't really need to do that. Yeah, you can roll it at your leisure. It doesn't matter whether you finish first or whether you finish last, or how long you take to make decisions in this game. It would have been nice if there'd been like a, say, a Galaxy Trucker style mechanic. If you finish rolling your dice first, you get a bonus where you can take a token, and if you finish second, you get a less generous benefit. It just feels like if the tension levels could be ramped up somewhat, this game would be a little bit more exciting than it necessarily is. So the second thing that we don't like about Cubitos is that some of the cards, the abilities are a little bit unclear, even with the added bonus of having clarifications in the rulebook. There was a lot of times where we were looking at the different cards thinking, well, what the hell does that mean? You go into the book and you think, well, that doesn't make it any clearer, because basically they just rewritten what's on the card in the bleeding rulebook, right? You end up having to go on that nasty little website looking for clarifications, and sometimes they're not there because that nasty little website is generally a pile of shit in it. So you end up just house ruling or making up the rule and just going with it, yeah, which isn't particularly helpful. So the final thing that we don't like about Cubitos is the fact that at the end of the day, all the other bullshit aside, in this game you're still at the mercy of random die rolls. There are ways to mitigate this, but with a lot of the dice having just one active side, you really can't tell whether or not you're going to make it through that roll or you're going to bust, right? So it does seem like there's a lot of gloss on this game that is put there to distract you from the fact that at the end of the day, this is just a random die fest. So to summarise, is Cubitos worth your time and bother today and in the future? So we're going to say yes, we actually do quite enjoy this game. It's not a game that's going to sort of enlighten you in any way. It's not going to make your brain work harder than it normally does. It's not going to give you any kind of satisfaction in that respect. But what it does give you is an immense amount of variability and some gorgeous components to look at while you're playing it. It does remind us of games like Race to El Dorado and Quacks of Quedlinburg. If you could get the two main mechanics of them games and forge it into a lump of pizza dough, that is what Cubitos is. But at the end of the day, this is still just a random dice chucking fest, right? There's no getting away from that. You're at the mercy of the random nature of the dice mechanics. But if you can live with that, and we definitely can live with that, because we're not serious gamers by any stretch of the imagination. If you can live with that, then Cubitos is a fun, non-taxing hour and a half that you can keep coming back to because it's got so much variety, right? So there you go, that's Cubitos. Remember, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below. We'll see you next Tuesday.